we're back.
Yes, Traven has isolated the issue and fixed it.
We have no more audio issues. So.
Hopefully. Okay, so Vince, welcome back to the show. We're so thrilled to have you, and we're just saying how amazing it is to have someone with your expertise, both as a behavioral technician for so many years and now as a licensed marriage family therapist. We're deeply appreciative because you help us keep the train on the track.
There you go. That was good. Hey, you guys handled the audio thing real quick. That was good.
Traven had this all under control. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So, Vince, we want to talk about separation anxiety from both sides. Parents, I'm guilty.
You've
as
had
charged.
it for years.
I have had both. I am doing better right now because I did some ACT therapy for it.
ACT therapy? What is
Yes, the acceptance commitment therapy.
Okay.
But I am somebody who I want to be with my kid all the time and know that he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry when he's not with me. And I have big anxiety, like we could spend the rest of the week talking about the things that go through my mind.
Okay.
And I don't want to be separated from him. I am learning how to separate from him for his good.
Mm-hmm.
Not mine, for his.
Mm-hmm.
But we see that sometimes on the other side with kids.
And I've had that with Wyatt. Wyatt has severe separation anxiety from me a lot of times.
That he wants to be with Nancy and
24/7.
And I had said earlier, Vince, just so that you know and you're up to speed, I think that's probably pretty typical when kids lose a parent, that
Right.
there's that kind of thing going on.
It was like that way before my husband passed away too.
okay.
It became more intense
All right.
afterwards.
So,
Right.
Vince, help us. Save us.
Well, I think when you talk about separation anxiety, the first thing we need to know is that this is a normal reaction for kids and for parents. Just when they get to that stage when there actually is going to be a significant separation, right? The idea isn't necessarily this is pathology. It's a typical reaction to when our fears and concerns and the kids' fears and concerns until we're able to experience a new experience apart from one another, when we both feel eventually that we're safe and that everything is going to be okay, right? This typically happens when kids are launched into school, when parents go back to work, those types of experience. Maybe the first time when someone's going to take a vacation away from one another, and then you have your extreme situations like in Nancy's case where there's a death of a parent, right? That's obviously a lot more permanent and it's going to take more time to work through. But separation anxiety in itself is not uncommon for any parent-child dyad that you're going to experience. Now, who has it more? What situation is it going to be? That's where you really have to look into the individual dynamics and work on it at that point. But this isn't necessarily something that can't be addressed, very effectively and very, successfully with both the child and the parent.
Yeah.
So how do we go about it then with the parent? Parents having severe separation anxiety every time they have to leave their child. What are some of the steps the parent can take to not experience this?
Right, and again, we're dealing with special needs children, right? So I think what Shannon was alluding to earlier, the need to protect, the need to assist, the need to support our child is even much greater than you would with a typical child. So that's very understandable, and the parents want to make sure. So there's a couple things. The first thing I would advise the parents to do is research and gain relationships with the personnel of where that child's going to go. So if it's school, with the teacher, with the aides, the parent needs to familiarize themselves first with the staff personnel as well as the environment. So talking with the teachers, talking with the aides, observing the classroom, seeing the programming, pragmatics of where everyone's going to be, and so forth. Really understanding the school schedules, because knowledge is the first key to reducing anxiety. So as soon as, and now if it's coming to ABA, coming to maybe center or maybe a home-based therapy, either way, get to talk to the supervisor. Read up on what types of services they're going to be getting. Maybe if it's center-based sessions, observe the center, go to the center. Might not be able to see therapy due to confidentiality, but at least know the office. See see the rooms, have a tour, get a tour taken of those facilities. Really understand where your child is going. That will reduce some anxiety. That's the first step. Now, the second step would be then is to, build those relationships with personnel. And then the third step would be maybe there needs to be some systematic desensitization, right? It's just too much to just drop our child off at a new environment and leave. And that's okay, that's understandable. But what we can do then is slowly work our way out. Maybe staying in the lobby for the sessions, making sure that everything's okay, asking questions of the supervisor to make sure everything's okay. And then over time, once that feels okay, then sitting out in the car, waiting, making sure everything's okay, still on the premises, still available for need for support or emergency. And then over time, that will feel okay, and that will feel comfortable. And then at that point, then they can go ahead and go on, and just continue and go, leave the actual premises while the child is receiving care, education, therapies, treatments, what have you.
Yeah, and that really works. Can I just say that really works? I am somebody who, I just don't ever, still, I drop him off at school and I have a moment. Mm-hmm. Now, mm-hmm. It's like, and when I think back to when he was 3 and had no language, I was like, we're never, ever going to be able to have him walk into a kindergarten class and have me leave. My husband and I would laugh about how I was going to be laying on the lawn in the play area with binoculars watching, and how I would not go and do anything else. And I'll be honest with you that I, for 2 days, sat outside mm-hmm. and didn't drive away. It took 2 days until I was like, and then picking him up and he was fine, for me to go, this is about me and not him. Mm-hmm. And I still have to put that into the equation, Vince, and I have to say, wait a second, who is this about, me or him? Pretty much on a daily basis. But when I am able to identify that and go, oh, it's about him, and then I go, oh, okay, well, I'm just taking care of myself here. What do I need to do to be able to do this? It's a matter of time before I can walk away. I mean, every day I drive away from him. And now I'm doing traveling. Mm-hmm. I sat with a parent who was saying to me the other day that you don't understand the separation anxiety that I have, and I was like, no, I think I am the one person who in fact really understands, and I think that's why they sent me over to talk to you, because I do get it. And I was saying to her, I am here, which was nowhere near home. It was a plane ride away. And I said, and my son is not at home, not at school, on a field trip, far away, and I'm breathing, mm-hmm. and I'm here, and I'm managing it, and I know he's having a great time, and I'm dealing with my feelings. I didn't think that could ever happen. So that what Vince just described about taking it one step away, one step away, one step away, even though it feels like baby steps, it actually works. So
that's great for the parent. Let's do the flip side with the child that's experiencing severe separation anxiety from the parent. What are some of the things that we can do about that?
Well, it's kind of the same thing, but right, it is systematic. And the kids, oftentimes they experience, this is their first experience away from what's comfortable and what's predictable for them, right? Parents are typically the common source of predictability and consistency. And any of our children on the spectrum, they need this to be able to feel comfortable. And when things change, this is why transitions are difficult. This is why new members coming onto teams, this is why, a change in environment. These are why it is so anxiety producing for our kids, is because it's a change, and they need that, they look for that consistency and that predictability. So the biggest pillar of that is a parent. So how do we reduce that, right? Again, it's very understandable that why the child would be upset. Again, I'm just going to use therapy since this is kind of our world as the example. The first thing is the parent and the supervisor need to come together and create a plan, right? It's not something that can just be done on the fly. That's not good for the parent nor the child. It has to be a succinct plan to work out that anxiety as the child's comfortability grows, right? Mom and dad can't sit in sessions for the entire program. right? That's 6, 8, 9, 10 years. That's not a plan. And the child can't expect the parent to be there at all times. That's not a plan either, right? So the plan needs to be, set up to where the parent and the child will feel comfortable. What are our markers that show the child's comfortable and the parent's comfortable? And then once we've hit those markers, we've hit those goals that we collaborate on, then the parent can then slowly back out of maybe a session, or maybe back out of the room, depending on what levels of fade out we have. But kind of the same thing. We start with, the parent being probably within the visual field of a child, so that they see that they're still there and they work, and as soon as they feel comfortable and committed to what they're doing, then mom and dad are kind of in the background, right? They're there, but I'm really into what I'm doing. I'm playing, I'm engaging, I'm having a good time. Okay, that's good. If there's if they get stumped, or they're working on a question that they're having a hard time with, they can look back for reassurance, but they realize that it's okay. Then as soon as that marker is met, then mom or dad might be able to fade them out of the room. Now again, for both sake, it might not be leaving the premises. It might be just leaving the room, and the child continues with treatment with mom and dad periodically on a fixed schedule. Come in, check, so then the child sees that the parent is still available, right? Then that schedule will lengthen over time to where they're only checking in once, maybe twice of the session, and then it will fade to where the parent might fade off the premises. Now I'm talking center-based sessions, right? But if it's at home, maybe they're not checking the sessions until the end of session, because the child's comfortable knowing that the parent is around, but they don't need that immediacy right there. So systematic desensitization is the technique that would be used either way, but the plans would be significantly different and need to be set prior to working on it, not setting a plan as we're working on it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So kind of a similar situation, but just different circumstances.
But I also want to say too that, we look at behaviors sometimes about, where is it happening and when is it happening and what is the function of the behavior. And I just want to put out there for all of us that have kids, we're fun people. And we're nurturing and we're fabulous. I understand why it wants to be with you. If I had a choice, I would want to be with you all the time too, right? Because you're fun. And yet I have seen Wyatt when you are not able to be there, and he's fine.
He's fine.
He's totally fine.
I know. I used to always have to have people tell me, he's fine.
And the guilt, I think, that we have as a parent when they say, I don't want you to go, I want to be with you, we get into the guilt of, I'm torturing my child by not being there. But the minute you're someplace else, and I know that parents go through this every day, he's fine.
Right.
And he's actually happy and joyous, and really, I think we just all need to videotape that for each other.
Right. And get that reassurance from the people that are
Yes.
with them when we're away from them.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's key, what Nancy just said. It's getting that communication, right? It's keeping that communication with those who are around the kids outside of or the parents' presence, right? It'd be the therapists, supervisors, teachers, aides. Get that confirmation. We need that.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing. We need that communication. We need that confirmation that everything's okay, that he had a good day, or that that she enjoyed being with her peers, or had a great lunch, or whatever it may be, because that makes our anxiety lower, right? It
Right.
keeps us to
Absolutely.
be confident that we're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Vince, unfortunately, we are out of time because we have to get to our last guest, but this has been so helpful,
Yeah, thank you
honestly.
so
I know
much.
people needed to hear this. I did. Did you?
Yes, I did.
Anyway, Vince Redmond, he is the Director of Family Services at CARD. He's amazing. If you are here at CARD, make sure that you get to meet him because he's super awesome. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince.
Thanks, Blake. Have a great rest of your week.
All right,
Thank
you
you.
too.
Bye-bye. We got to get to our next
Yes,
guest as
we've
quick as
got
possible.
Gregory and Michelle Chabolo
And we
that are
apologize
here
that
in
we're
the
running
studio.
away. Yep.
We'll bring
So
them in.
stick with us. We'll be right back.
Okay, bye-bye.